If you have a fear of being trapped in a room, an elevator, a dining room, or on top of a pyramid, maybe don't watch this video because I'm going to be telling you about 5 horror movies with characters being trapped in all those places. But if you think you can handle watching this video, then welcome. Also, if you've never seen my face before, my name is Crystal. I'm just a horror fan talking about horror movies on the internet. I upload new videos every single Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about scary movies to beat the Sunday scaries. The first movie is Devil. A group of people trapped in an elevator and the devil is mysteriously amongst them. It was directed by John Eric Dwaddle and written by Brian Nelson and M. Night Shyamalan. The director has worked on other films, As Above, So Below, Quarantine, and The Poughkeepsie Tapes. Nelson has also worked on Hard Candy and 30 Days of Night, and we all know M. Night Shyamalan's works. It stars Chris Messini, Logan Marshall Green, and Bokeem Woodbine. I feel like this movie is a little bit of a hidden gem in the horror world. We have these people trapped in an elevator, and as the movie progresses, we find out the backstory of each of the characters through the eyes of the detective and the religious beliefs of one of the security guards that works in the building where the elevator is located. The characters that are in the elevator are made up of men and women, and of course, one of them is the devil. You also get to see what's happening outside of the elevator as first responders are working to get everybody out, and it helps kind of break up this small space of the elevator setting. The movie also keeps you guessing on which character is the devil, and there are these really tricky camera movements and twists, so when the devil is revealed, you're just like, huh. There are connections between some of the characters too, and in true Shyamalan fashion, there is a human touch at the end of the story. I liked this movie a lot, and if you haven't seen it yet, I definitely recommend checking it out. Next is Exam. 8 candidates for a highly desirable corporate job are locked together in an exam room and given a final test with just one seemingly simple question. However, it doesn't take long for confusion to ensue and tensions to unravel. It was directed by Stuart Hazeldine and written by Hazeldine and Simon Garrity. I loved this movie a lot, and I also consider this another hidden gem in the horror world. We have these 8 people stuck in this exam room with no windows, and they have 80 minutes to answer one question. And there are only 4 rules. Don't talk to the instructor, don't talk to the guard that's in the room, you can't leave the room, and you can't spoil the piece of paper that is in front of them. The group realizes that they need to work together to figure out what's happening, and you watch as their true identities and motives for wanting this particular job come out. They have a barrage of different ideas, and it kept me entertained until the end to see how and who would get out of the room and possibly with a job. Exam was a lower budget horror movie, and it reminded me of Saw, but without all of the extreme blood and gore. Next is Would You Rather. Desperate to help her ailing brother, a young woman unknowingly agrees to compete in a deadly game of Would You Rather hosted by a sadistic aristocrat. It was directed by David Guy Levy and written by Stefan Skoshtafen. It stars Brittany Snow, who has also been in other horror movies like X and the 2008 film Prom Night. It also stars Jeffrey Combs, who is fantastic, and Sasha Grey. This movie is taking a very normal, popular game and putting a very, very sinister spin on it, where the people playing have to choose whether to hurt themselves or hurt someone else, and they only have a limited time to decide. And of course, they're not allowed to leave or they die, and whoever survives at the end wins the prize money. There are so many twists and turns in this movie, and it begs the question of what would you do in this kind of situation. And each would you rather round of this game gets more brutal and more unhinged. And Jeffrey Combs plays his character so well in this movie. I loved him in this movie. And without giving too much away, it's a really devastating movie, and there's really no winners at the end, especially with the last brutal scene that you're just gonna have to see for yourself. Next is The Ruin. ruins. A leisurely Mexican holiday takes a turn for the worse when a group of friends and a fellow tourist embark on a remote dig in the jungle where something evil lives among the ruins. It was directed by Carter Smith and written by Scott B. Smith. It stars Jonathan Tucker, Jenna Mullen, and Shawn Ashmore. These three have been in horror before, with Jenna Mullen in The Neon Demon, Jonathan Tucker in the 2003 The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Shawn Ashmore in Frozen. I have seen this movie so many times, and I love it. And I have talked about this movie a handful of times, and any excuse I can bring it up, I do. Are the characters in this movie all great people? No. But are they entertaining to watch? Yes. We have these characters in Mexico wanting to visit an ancient Mayan temple. But what they don't know is something is very wrong with this particular pyramid, especially with the plants. And that's all I'm gonna tell you. What I also really enjoyed about this film is there aren't any jump scares. It is truly a body horror movie that left me cringing. And the gore is there in just so many different ways. And I don't want to spoil anything for you, but there's one scene towards the end of the movie that when I rewatch it, I look away. I also really like the setting of this movie because yes, the characters are trapped, so you are in one location for a good period of the movie, but we get to see other places before this disastrous moment of being on the pyramid. Last and least is Circle. Held captive and faced with their imminent execution, 50 strangers are forced to choose the one person among them who deserves to live. It was written and directed by Aaron Hahn and Mario Michener. A fair warning, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant, okay? Listen, it's no surprise how much I love horror movies. And it's also no surprise to our community that sometimes even the worst horror movies can be great. But that's not the case for this movie. And I'm gonna be spoiling it, so if you haven't seen The Circle and you want to watch it, just click out of this video. I will see you next time. But if you're okay with me spoiling it, then please continue watching. As mentioned, you are introduced to 50 strangers in this weird black room with red dots on the floor where they're all standing, and in the middle is this rotating black orb thing. This is the setting for the entire movie, give or take 2 minutes towards the end of the film. They all quickly realize that there can be only one survivor among them, and they have to decide by casting a vote, by doing this. I don't know. It's very dialogue heavy because, of course, they all want to plead their case and be the last one literally standing. Demographically, the group is made up of men and women. There's a child and there's one pregnant lady. They're all different ages, different ethnicities. Very quickly, prejudice and biases start to happen, such as somebody's skin color, whether or not they have kids, how rich they are, how poor they are, their sexuality, how they treat others, anything that makes a person who they are. I understand that this movie is a very raw interpretation of socialism, morality, psychology, and self-preservation, but the problem I had was I didn't care about any of these people because there was no time to get to know them before they dropped dead. These are fascinating topics to be added into a horror movie, but I think the execution and the dialogue just fell so short. Also, the movie was just visually boring to watch. And if the dialogue had been better, I probably wouldn't have noticed how the setting was very boring. And the ending of the movie was even worse. Basically, these survivors are all kids, pregnant women, and assholes. Oh, and just to top it all off, aliens are doing all of this. And that was kind of just like added into the end. This movie just could have been so much better. Well, if you made it this far, you reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching me, Crystal, just a horror fan talking about horror movies on the internet. Till next time.